Hey, you are most welcome again to this series of short video teachings in which we've been studying the doctrine of sin or the sinfulness of man. Now, my name is Mustafa Abubakar and I am a pastor at Christ Bible Church here in Mombasa Island. Mombasa Island is in Kenya. Now, we've been trying to study together and consider together the 6 realities of sin, the 6 realities of sin. We looked at the first reality, which is the sinful nature, and then we looked at the second reality, which was total depravity, and then we looked at the third reality, which is the power of sin, and then we looked at the fourth reality, which is the actual sins. Now in this video, we're going to consider the fifth reality, which I have titled the universality of sin. The universality of sin. This is going to be very, very brief and very, very short. The universality of sin. This teaches that everyone who is born into this world is a sinner. Universality of sin. Universal. Everyone born into this world is a sinner. And that is to say that everyone is a victim of the 6 realities that we have discussed, that we have talked about, that we have considered and studied together. Everyone born into this world is a victim of those other realities of sin that we have discussed together. So for example, we talked about the sinful nature. That means that everyone born into this world is born with a sinful nature, with the stain of sin, with the principle of sin. We've talked about total depravity. That means that everyone born into this world is totally depraved, is totally corrupt, is radically depraved, is radically corrupt. We've talked about the power of sin. And that means that everyone born into this world is under the power of sin, ruled by sin, mastered by sin, controlled by sin, enslaved by sin, chained by sin. We've also talked about actual sins, which means that everyone born into this world commits or does actual sins. So that is the universality of sin. Everyone has a sinful nature. Everyone is under the power of sin. Everyone is totally depraved, and everyone commits actual sins. Everyone commits actual sins. No one is excluded. We are all sinners, all of us. I'll read from 1 Kings chapter 8 verse 46. 1 Kings chapter 8 verse 46. When they sin against you, for there is no one who does not sin. Hear that? There is no one who does not sin. Then Psalms 14 verse 3. Psalms 14 verse 3. All have turned aside, they have together become corrupt. All of them. There is no one who does good, not even one. No one who does good, not even one. Psalms 143 verse 2. Psalms 143 verse 2. Do not bring your servant into judgment, for no one living is righteous before you. No one living is righteous before you. And then Romans chapter 3 verse 9. Romans chapter 3 verse 9. What shall we conclude then? Are we any better? Not at all. We have already made the charge that Jews and Gentiles alike are all under sin. No one is excluded. And then finally Romans 3:23, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. I think you can clearly see the fact that we are all sinners. I think you can clearly see the idea of the universality of sin. Even you, brother or sister who is watching and listening to this video, know that you are a sinner. You have that stain of sin, you have that principle of sin, you have that sinful nature. You are totally depraved, you are under the power of sin, and you commit actual sins. No one is excluded. We've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. So that's what we mean by the universality of sin, because there are some theologies and some religions which teach that there are some people who are holy. There's some people who are sinless. There's some people who are perfect. I was a Muslim, and it is taught in Islam that a baby who is born today does not have sin, does not have that sinful nature, does not have that principle and that stain of sin until that child is 12 years old. Then they start having sin. That is not true. We are all born with sin, sinful nature, stain of sin, principle of sin. We are all totally depraved. We are all under the power of sin, and we commit actual sins. Everyone who is born into this world, even if they are 1 day old, they are sinners. They are sinners. I hope this is helpful. Thank you so much for taking your time to watch this.